Hello Year 5, welcome to Monday's maths lesson where we're looking at wonderful word problems. Now the top tips today are to remember our rucksack method where we read the question at least twice, understand exactly what it's asking us to find out, choose the correct method of calculation. Now today that is going to be addition or subtraction or sometimes both because we're looking at some multi-step problems. Then we're going to solve the problem, writing down the answer to our question, making sure that we include the measurement, whether that's kilograms, whether that's kittens, whether that's balloons. Got to make sure we put that in, otherwise I'm going to assume that you're talking about giraffes. And then the last thing we're going to do is to check your answer. Can we use estimation or the inverse to help us work out if our answer's in the right ballpark? Okay, with no further ado, we are going to go on to the first question, which is this lovely balloon question. Okay, Byron orders 1,500 or 1,500 balloons for the summer fair. He orders 540 red balloons. He orders 120 fewer blue balloons than red balloons. He orders 80 more green balloons than blue balloons, and the rest of the balloons are yellow. How many of each balloon does Byron order? Now I can see that what they're asking us to do is work out how many of each different colour balloon does Byron order. Now I'm going to go back over and I'm going to reread and highlight as I go. Byron orders 1,500 balloons, 1,500. I'm going to pop that here. I've decided to use a bar model because I know what our whole number is, and that's going to help me when I'm working out the exact figures of each colour. He orders 540 red balloons. He orders 120 fewer blue balloons, so there are going to be less blue balloons than red balloons. Let's highlight that as well. He orders 80 more green balloons than blue balloons, so I know that my blue balloons are going to be fewer than my red balloons and fewer than my green balloons. And the rest of the balloons are yellow. So if I worked out all the other ones, I should be able to work out how many yellow balloons I have. How many of each balloon does Byron order? Okay, how many of each balloon? I'm going to need that many in there. Fantastic. Okie dokie. Right, I can see from my question that there are 540 red balloons, so I can pop that straight into my bar model here. Got 540 red balloons. He orders 120 fewer blue balloons than red balloons, so I know I'm going to need to find out what 540 take away 120 is to find my blue balloons. So I'm going to put 540 up here. You might be able to do this in your head, but I'm going to make sure I'm writing out my calculation to help me in case I lose track of the numbers in this multi-step problem. Okay, so I've got 0 take away 0, nice and easy, that's going to be 0. 40 take away 20, that's going to be 20. 500 take away 100, that is going to be 400. So I know that my blue balloons are 420. Lovely. Right, and I can give that part of the question a little tick because we've worked out how many blue balloons there are. Okay, he orders 80 more green balloons than blue balloons. 80 more. So I know my number's going to get bigger from here. So I'm going to have to add on 80. Now I could work this out and over here again. However, I know that 20 add 80 is 100. So I know because of my number bonds to 100 that this add 80 is going to be 500. So I'm actually going to pop that straight into my green box here. I know that there are 500 green balloons. Okay, and I can give that a little tick as well because I've worked out how many green balloons there are. And now it says the rest of the balloons are yellow. So I know that whatever these numbers add up to taken away from 1,500 is going to give me my yellow balloons. It's nice and easy. So I'm not even going to write down that first one because I know that 1,500 take away 500 is going to be 1,000. Let's find that orange rather than yellow because it'll be easier to see. So I'm going to have 1,000 once I've taken away my green. Let me put a little line there to remind myself I've already done that one. Then I've got 1,000, take away 420. Now this is going to be a bit trickier because if I'm doing it in the column method, it's going to ask me to exchange. However, I know that if I had 1,000 take away 400, that would give me 600. And if I take away a further 20 from that, I'm going to be left with 580. So I know I've written it down like this, but actually I've worked out in my head that that is going to be 580 if we've taken away the blue balloons as well. And the last thing I need to work out is 580 take away 540. Well, looking at that, I know that my 500 and 500 are going to cancel each other out. So actually, I'm looking at 80 take away 40. 8 take away 4 is 4. So 80 take away 40 must be 40. So I know overall that my yellow balloons are going to be 40. If I want to double check that, which I should, I would add all of these numbers up and see that they add up to 1,500. And that is how I would do that first question. Let's have a look on the next. Okay, this one, it says, Lucy thinks of a number. After she adds 2,264 and subtracts 1,326, her number is 7,435. And I've represented that number here using our place value counters. What number did she start with? Okay, so actually you can't see because I've hidden it with my head. Let me move myself over here. Hello. But I've actually got some place value counters down here to help me out. So let's have a look. Lucy thinks of a number. After she adds 2,264 and subtracts 1,326, her number is 7,435. What number did she start with? Okay, I'm thinking this looks like an inverse question to me. When we are using our inverse, we are going to do the direct opposite of what the question says. So I know that Lucy finished with this number, 7,435. And to find the number she started with, I'm going to have to work my way backwards through the calculations that she did. And I can see that if we work our way backwards, the last thing she did was to subtract 1,326. So I'm going to do that. Instead of subtracting though, I'm going to add it together. Let me get my pen, because we've got subtraction here and the inverse is going to be addition. Little dodgy plus sign there. And then after we do that, we're going to minus 2,264 because that is the inverse of addition. Now, I could work them both out here, but actually for the first one, I'm going to use my place value counters to help me. Because if I've started with this number here, and I have to add on this number, I can use my place value counters to help. So I need to add on 1,000, 300, 1, 2, 3, 20, or 2 tenths, 1, 2, and then 6 ones, 1, 2, 3, come back, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I can look at my new number, but actually there's something wrong with my new number in that my ones column here is too big. It actually goes over 10. So I'm going to take away 10 from here and turn it into a 10 up here, just like we do when we're exchanging, except I'm going to do it with my counters. So let me get my pen out. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's going to leave us with 1 in the ones column. And then I'm going to get my last 10 up here. So once I have done my adding 1,326, I'm going to be left with this number. So let's have a count of this number. There is 1 in our ones column, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in our tens column, so that's going to be 60. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in our hundreds column, so that's going to be 700. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in our thousands. So our new number after our first step is going to be 8,761. My pen is a little bit thick, so I'm going to change that to a smaller one. So we've done that. I'm going to give myself a little tick to remind myself that I've done that. And then I need to look at the next step, which is to minus 2,264. Okay, so I'm going to write down here. This one I'm going to do using my column method. I think looking at that first ones column, there's going to be a little bit of exchanging in this one. So getting ready to do my exchanging. We're subtracting, so 1 take away 4. Now that we cannot do, so I'm going to have to exchange this 60 into a 50. I have to add on my 10 here, so it now becomes 11 take away 4, which is 7. Then I'm doing 50 take away 60. Again, I cannot do that, so I'm going to have to exchange, take a 100 from my 700, turn it into a 600. And I add on 100, so it's now 150 take away 6, or 15 take away 6, if that's easier for you, and that's going to be 90. Then I've got my 600 take away 200, and that is 400. And then I've got my 8,000 take away 2,000, and that is 6,497. That is the number that Lucy started with. And if I wanted to double check it, which you would do, I would then go back over her instructions. I would start with 6,497. I would add 2,264 and subtract 1,326. And I should get to 7,435. Okay, there is one more question to show you. However, I think we might be running out of time, so I'm going to pause us here. Then I'm going to ask you to join me in part 2 of the video, where we will go through the last example and I will show you the questions I want you to answer today.